Hey there, creepy peeps, and welcome to another Exhumed movie review. Today we are talking about Let's Scare Jessica to Death. This movie was requested of me to review by one of my patrons, Kevin. So thank you so much for your request, Kevin, and let's get into this. Directed by John D. Hancock, Let's Scare Jessica to Death follows Jessica, newly released from a mental ward, who moves out to the country with her husband and friend. At their new house, they meet Emily, who may or may not be a vampire. So on one hand, Let's Scare Jessica to Death reads kind of like a version of Carmilla a little bit. So we got Emily, who is a female vampire who has essentially just turned this entire small Connecticut town. She seduces Duncan and Woody, and Jessica, being the only other female, well, almost the only other female, we'll get into her in a second, sees through Emily and is wary of her, obviously. There's also this kind of theme of escaping the city with all the hustle and bustle, and it's very hard on your mental health. You know, case in point, Jessica, who has a mental breakdown. But, you know, just because you escape to the countryside doesn't mean you're completely safe, because they escape to this town that has a very dark secret and an ancient evil lives there. So it's like you're not safe anywhere almost. And it's a very disconcerting feeling to have in a movie, that you're not safe anywhere. On the other hand, however, the movie is very much about mental health. You know, it's very much about this poor woman who, you know, has a mental breakdown, and her husband essentially isolates her in an attempt to rehabilitate her. So it's established in the movie that Duncan spends all of his money to move them out there. So not only are they very much isolated, because I don't know if it's actually an island. It must be, I guess, because they have to take a ferry to get there. I must have missed that point in the movie, like where they established it was an island. I don't know. So, you know, geographically they're isolated. Financially they're also isolated, because if something were to happen, and which something does happen, where Jessica might need to see her doctor, she can't easily, you know, they don't have the funds to get her back out there to the city to see her doctor. Duncan makes sure that Jessica is essentially completely reliant upon him. They go to this town, which is essentially all men, or that's all we see. So the only females in this town are Jessica, Emily, and the mute woman who tries to help Jessica later on in the film. We don't see any other females at all. This very terrifying scene towards the end where all of the male townspeople essentially descend upon Jessica in bed, and it's freaky. The movie also has like a very hazy, kind of dreamlike look to it, which also, it just goes along with the theme of, you know, paranoia, mental health, you know, having some sort of, you know, psychotic break. Seems like we're also trapped in Jessica's poor mind, where, you know, this terrifying thing could be happening to her in real life, but nobody will believe her, and she starts to question herself as well. Like, is this actually happening? Am I just being paranoid? Is it, you know, is it just me, or is something actually going on? She becomes paranoid that her husband is going to be tired of taking care of her and essentially move on and leave her, and that kind of leads her to thinking that Duncan is attracted to Emily, and, you know, she's fine. She doesn't have any problems, so obviously he's gonna choose her over Jessica, and it isolates her even more. So the person who isolated her in the first place becomes removed from her even more when Emily seduces him. And her friend Woody is of no help either, because even though he even mentions in a line that he doesn't trust her, he's still under her spell, which is kind of terrifying. So it's like he's aware that something's off with her, but he can't resist. At the end of it all, Jessica ends up utterly alone, just completing the isolation when she escapes on a rowboat across the river, lake, wherever they are. And even the townspeople who are pursuing her at this point kind of give up. Like, after she gets closer to the other shore on the rowboat, you see them all just turn around and go back into town. Like, so even the people pursuing her just give up on her, and she's completely and utterly alone. Ends up killing Duncan in the water. She doesn't realize it at first, but after she kills him, when he tries to get on the boat, you see that it's Duncan. So she's completely alone, and she just absolutely disassociates at this point, and she says,
"Nightmares or dreams, mad madness or sanity. I don't know which is which.
And neither do we, essentially, and that's kind of the beauty of this movie. So overall, I liked it because, you know, it has this overall eerie quality to it, and there's so many different ways you can interpret it. You know, you can interpret it as just being this big metaphor for, you know, mental illness. You could see it in the completely supernatural way that it is a vampire movie. Is she or isn't she imagining it sort of scenario, which it makes it an appealing movie to rewatch and rewatch in different ways. But overall, I'm gonna give the movie a 4 out of 5. On IMDb, it has a 6.5 out of 10. On Rotten Tomatoes, it has a 29% critic score and a 50% audience score, which was odd to me. I'm like so not sure why it has such a low score on Rotten Tomatoes. It's weird. And on Letterboxd, it has a 3.4 out of 5. I was able to watch the movie on Amazon, so I'll leave an affiliate link in the description if you want to check it out that way. There's no pressure to use that link, but if you do, it does help out the channel a little bit. If you've already seen Let's Scare Jessica to Death, however, let me know in the comment section down below what you thought about it. As always, I do hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you're new here and become a Creepy Peep today. I post videos Monday through Friday, and you can ring that notification bell down there to be notified every time I post a video, even though it doesn't always work. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, stay strange. Bye! This video is brought to you by all of these awesome Patreon supporters who are listed here on the screen. Thank you guys so much for your support. If you want to find out the perks to being a Creepy Patron Peep, you can follow that link that's in the description box. And if you want to check out more videos, you can click the video that's on the screen right now.